Hi guys, my name's Luke, welcome back to the channel. Now today's video is all about tuning our BMW M5 demo car. So what is tuning? Tuning is a process we undertake after every audio install where we can make this car sound crystal clear and just as beautiful as this car in particular looks. So what do we need for it? To start with, we need a DSP, a digital signal processor. We have gone for the Audison 12 channel processor, and we also need the software. In this case, it will be the Bit Drive software produced by Audison themselves. So we'll get the laptop hooked up and we'll get crack on. So, the BMW M5. Now, the system we have installed follows suit with the Harman Kardon, the two-way front, under seat, the two-way rear and the two-way on the deck. However, we haven't got the center channel, and we've also added an Audison fully active subwoofer. Now, this is gonna slap when we've got this tuned. So I'm looking forward to cracking on. I'm going to get the laptop open and I'll start showing you piece by piece what we do throughout this process. So the first things first we do with every system is make it safe. Now this involves basically going through a nice setup wizard where you just follow a very simple step-by-step guide, and we'll sort out all the inputs and the outputs. We'll put through all our different channels, whether it's on crossover, whether it's bridged, it all depends on the system. Each system is going to be totally different. So we have to go through quite vigorously and make sure everything is correct. So what we have here is we've got sources, which is a case of whether you're using an optical input or whether you're using a high level or low level input. Again, this is all dependent on the system. So in this case, we are using an optical. So next up, it will be the input configuration, input sensitivity, and this is all creates a clean signal going into the amplifier. So we've got a nice clean signal coming back out. We've got input delays and polarity check. This is to make sure I've done my job right and I haven't got any wires the wrong way around. This will sort it out for me. If I have, I won't have. And then we've got input DEQ. So this is basically input de-equalization. This is important if you're going off a aftermarket head unit or even the factory head unit or the factory amplifier, because what's happening is we're not getting a clean signal going into our DSP. So this is a very important setup we need to do. So we then move on to output setup. This is basically just us deciding our output channels. So we have a set way of doing this. This involves basically we follow a system where it goes left to right, front to back. So our front left tweeter will be output 1, our front right tweeter output 2, front left mid will be output 3, front right mid output 4, and then we'll keep zigzagging all the way along to the back of the car. So it's just as the standard practice. I think quite a lot of people do this, but we do it so if anyone else was needed to go on the car, they also know how everything's run, how everything's set up, and it keeps everything nice and clean within the business. Next up is output distances. Now this is for time alignment. So we will basically get a tape measure and you'll just measure off each point from the tweeter, each mid-range, each woofer, and even from the sub. Get a big tape measure, and we always bring it to the driver's forehead. This gives a perfect what we call time alignment. So effectively, the further away the speaker is, it will play sooner than other speakers, and that will bring all the sound to your desired area. So for us, we got it at our head, but because also this is a demo car, we will also have it for passenger focus. So that means that when the passenger is having his demo done, or her demo done, it will sound absolutely bob on for them as well. So throughout all these processes, we have a Audison test track USB. So each and every single one will ask us to play a different track. Now this can be, they've named them like pulses, pink noise, sine sweep, and they're just all different ways where our DSP will be able to pick up if correct signals are going in, correct signals are coming out, etc. So I will plug the USB in now and I'll just start flying through it all. So for this, the input sensitivity, because we're using the optical from the car's system, which is already in it factory, we don't actually have to do this, as this is all if you were to do a high or low level input. Because we've completely skipped that and we're doing straight optical, this is just a process we can just skip through, so we'll just skip through that. So this is the output setup. So again, this is going to be different for every single car, but for this BMW in particular, we are going to go through, and I mentioned before how I went 1, 2, 3, 4. So output 1 is going to be front left tweeter, output 2 front right tweeter, and we will just keep going through front right tweeter, then front left mid, front right mid, and we're just going to keep cycling through this, go all the way through to the back of the car, and I'll catch up at the end. So what I've just gone through now is I've gone through and selected all of the different output channels. So as you'll see, I'll show you on the cursor now, we've just gone through, selected. So as you'll see here, we have bridged channels 5 and 6. This is for the front left woofer, this is the under seat woofer. So we bridge this because we're going to be putting quite a lot of power through it, and it will just give it that much better feeling for underneath you. Then we've got the rear left, the rear right, and then the surround, which are the ones on the rear deck, and then the subwoofer. So we'll go through, hit next, and now we get to get the measuring tape out and start measuring distances to our head. Okay, so that's the initial setup complete. Now what we will do is, just to make sure the system's all correct, we will go through and just solo each and every single channel, make sure it corresponds. So front left tweeter is front left tweeter being played, front right tweeter, etc. And just make sure the system is good and happy. Now what we would usually do is we would then start doing manual cutoffs. So we'll change the bands on each of the tweeters, mid-range, woofer, subwoofer, all that. However, only in the past week or so, we have just had an update from Bit Drive where there is a add-on called ACCORDO. Okay, so what is ACCORDO? ACCORDO is a new piece of software which Audison have just brought out. It's an automatic version of what we can do with our ears, and it's much more precise. So it's very simple, it's very similar to how our initial tuning setup was, just a nice easy step-by-step guide, very easy to follow, but the most important thing is to make sure that we've got everything set up correctly. Now we're using a USB microphone, it plugs directly straight into the laptop, and we just have to make sure that on our Windows side of things that everything is set up for that microphone, not off the laptop microphone. And then go through, we have to select all the different input devices on the laptop through the Audison Bit Drive app. Most microphones will have a calibration file with them. We've got our microphone from Dayton Audio, so that's all on an online thing. We type in the serial number of our microphone and it gives us a calibration file, so you can upload that onto the software, and that will just give us an even more precise reading for when we come to using it. First thing first, for the setup, we need to get our microphone in place. Now this is on the passenger side. We've got customers coming in all the time for demos, so we need to make sure that this is focused for them. Now obviously when it's a customer for an actual project, we will have it for driver focused, or however the customer wants. They might want it to stead in the center, they might want different levels, so they might want it for the passenger. It all varies, we can do all that for them. So we've got it set up currently on the passenger side, and for this we need to be out the vehicle because we can't be disrupting any of the sound inside. while the tests are being ran. There's a lot of measurements, there's a lot of processing that goes on all behind the scenes, all automatically. So I'm going to get this set up outside and I'll catch you out there. Okay, so now outside the vehicle, so we'll go through, select the Accordo wizard, and then the first page that pops up is literally just to make sure that you have done all the correct steps before getting to this. Setting up the microphone, we've done that. Verify the speaker system. When we soloed each speaker, made sure everything was all working perfectly, we've done that. Select the current listening position. So if you look, if I move the window just a little bit off, we have here different listening positions. We've got passenger side, in the center, in the driver's side, and then a little bit further back in the center again. So because we've got the microphone set up on the passenger side, we just select it. It's just an image thing really. It's just so you know, if you've got different memory selections, you know what listening position that is set to. So next then is correct the input signals. That's all done now. And then memory setting. Now Accordo, it tells you here it will use memory 1. Now if we're using different memory settings, like for example for our demo car, we will have different memory settings. We're going to have one for the passenger side for our customers who are having the demos, and then one for us lucky folk who get to drive the car now and then. We will have it for our when we're driving to shows or wherever. So now that's all been ticked off, we can go ahead and hit start. So this will give us a little checklist here, so we can deselect, you can change all different things. So it will give us auto level alignment, auto time alignment, and then auto EQ. So everything, as you can see, is automatic. It's much quicker. If we were to do this just by ear, it probably takes us about an hour to get right. And even then there'll be some final little bits of tuning we'll still need to do, just because our ears are nowhere near as precise as a microphone. So we will select all three and hit next. So next up we have the output setup. This again is just making sure that everything is all okay. As you can see, every single channel on the screen is okay. So again, this is just another checklist just to make sure that it's all good and all ready to keep going. Now, target curve. This will vary from car to car, customer to customer, system to system. So target curve, what is that? It is basically a ideal frequency response curve that the system aims to achieve within the car. This curve represents how the audio output should be balanced across all the frequencies across the whole range of the system. Basically, it gives us a benchmark for how we aim the system to respond and how we aim the system to sound. So we'll go through and select. So on the Audison, they have their own target curves. Now, just quickly fire through them now for you, just so you can take a quick look. They all follow a similar pattern, very slight differences, and as you can see, they're quite bass heavy. We have found, after a little bit of playing around over the past few days, that our custom one, so if I select and open the custom, I've got target curve here. As you can see, it's still a little bit higher on the bass, a little bit of a drop off on the mids, and a tiny little drop off towards the tweeters. We've just found that gave the nicest, clearest, and also deep sound we were after within this car. Again, like I said, each customer, each car, each system is going to be slightly different. So there's going to be some tweaking all the time, just like with everything. Everyone's ears are different. So we'll go ahead and select our custom one there. So next we have a time delay. Now this would be, it's just a countdown, nothing too special about it. It just gives you a time for all the windows and all the doors to be shut within the car, because the microphone will take a reading, and basically it's just to check the levels of the microphone are correct. As you can see here, there is a desired sub volume. Now this is basically level which you set the sub up to or down to. So we will typically set it a little bit further back, so when it's done the automatic calibration, we can then bring the sub a bit more in, gives a bit more depth, or you can turn it back down again. But this is what we have, this is just for the calibration method. So we'll count down. and now we move this slider until signal gives a green light. There we go, signal OK, so we can hit next. So what that's just done is the amp itself has just played what's called a sine sweep. This is basically just a sound which gets put through, and it's going to take a reading then from the microphone, and that will just basically just confirm that the signal levels are going from the sound out of the speakers into the microphone at a correct level, which is going to be good then for the actual measurement period we're going to do next. Next up is the actual measurement and processing. There's a little 5-second time delay. You can do whatever you wanted. It's just so you can just clear the area, and you don't want any loud noises coming from outside the area because that will interfere with the microphone. So we just go ahead, hit start, and so what it's doing now is it's going to be playing little test tones. You'll hear it through our GoPro, which is placed inside. So it's just going around every single individual speaker, then complete. Now it moves on to processing. So this is just a situation of the microphone is going to be giving back the readings to the DSP, and then the DSP is now going to process that, give it the right EQ tuning, the right levels, and it's also going to time align it so it fires perfectly at the microphone. So once that's done, in about 10 seconds, done. Hit next, and that's tuning complete. So hit done now. It's already exporting to the device, so that means it's already saved onto the device on the DSP, and then we have to make sure we save it onto our laptop. We have a full catalogue of every single customer that's come in. We don't just have a baseline for 5 series, a 3 series, a 1 series. We have it different for customers' tuning, like tastes, because everyone likes different music. So we'll have it set to each individual car retrospectively. So as you can see now, we are back onto what's called the home page. So you'll be able to see here, I'm just highlighting how much of a difference they are doing to this curve. Now, when it's standard, if you see before, it was just one solid smooth curve. And if you just look, that is outrageous how much that has been adjusted. If I go through the mids, that was before one solid curve over there. You can see now it's got this wave coming through it. The woofers, and then that is crazy. But yeah, this is how accurate. We could never, with anyone with human ears, could get that accurate. So this system is a massive hit. So if we now, as you'll see here, it's already set the volume to -24. This is just for safety. It's just so you don't go ahead, play music, and end up blasting your ears off, or even worse, blowing a speaker. Now we don't want to do that. So we'll bring it in gradually. I already know that there's nothing playing through the system, so I can turn that up. Same with the sub. And now we can go in and have a listen. So as you can see now, we've moved back into the car. What we're going to do is we're going to take a listen, see what the music's playing like, and then if we need to do any little final tuning, we'll do that, but I doubt it.
I'm still thinking of you, better not do it 'cause you kissed me and you left me. How dare you do this to me? I don't really care, but baby, you thought that I was crazy.
Wow.
I'm still thinking of you, I'm still thinking of you. Come back, kiss me again.
Holy, yes. Well, that is incredible. This automated system is so good, so quick, so easy. We do have the options to do a bit of final tuning if we need to. Now this is just bringing up different levels, so as you're playing you can change different curves, you can do whatever you want here. But honestly, straight away off this first song, I have no faults at all. Let's try another. That is incredible. The way that system has managed to pull the sound stage, it feels like everything is just all around me. It feels like I'm being surrounded by it. So right now I'm going to finalize the device, and that is the conclusion of today's video. So as you can see, this is the rigorous process we go through for each and every install, made pretty simple with our software. So big up to Audison for this, and hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you on the next one.